Hello again, everyone. Welcome to 90s to Now. I am Jerry Strauss. And folks, uh, we are preparing for one of those special times, one of those special moments. You've heard us talk about it here on the show before, and we've been chatting with a lot of the friends that we know, that we remember, that we love from the California Dreams band. They're getting that band literally back together, and it's all happening at 90s Dreams Fan Fest in New York City, Friday, October 13th at Stitch Bar and Blues. We're going to be talking all about it, and who better to talk to than one of the OG members of the California Dreams band? Many may say the heart and soul of the California Dreams band. But he is here. He is now, and he is Brentley Gore. He's on the show. How are you, Brentley?
I'm doing well. Thanks so much for having me. Glad to be here.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here. You know, as we said, and this will be inherently a cheap plug for you guys to go back and check out our YouTube channel, check out on Facebook our conversations with all the members that we've had here on the show of the California Dreams band. You, chronologically speaking, if you guys are following these episodes in order, our first original member of the California Dreams band. So you have a whole different perspective, I think, that we can't wait to hear. But it's coming. I mean, before we even dive into your past, just give us a general look at where you are emotionally as we get closer and closer to this date, because the buzz is kind of crazy. The excitement is building. How are you feeling about getting back together with the band?
I'm really excited about it, really. I was a little apprehensive at the beginning because, how far are we out now? 20 plus years, right?
Mm-hmm.
But musically speaking, it feels like now it's far enough behind us that it's so nostalgic. And the 90s being such a monumental time for the majority of us in our demographic.
Yeah.
Coming back together with these guys it's just like all heart, because it's like it's like going back to high school, but better, because it's like we all kind of grew up together and in this time, and we were definitely christened by Hollywood at that point.
Yeah.
And the band, per se, was really why I was there. From the get go, it was all about the music, combined with everything else. So I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be great.
I'm laughing. Bradley, I just want to pause 1 second. Do you hear like a weird echo when I'm speaking?
I do not at all. I
You
don't
know,
at all.
it's gone now. For a minute, it was like this weird, creepy. I think we're good. Sorry about that. But
That's okay.
yeah, no. But yeah, I was laughing because you mentioned that comparison to high school, and I never really thought about it that way. Like 20 years out of high school, it's kind of cool to go back and visit and maybe meet some of your friends. To
Yeah.
be hanging around there like 3, 4, 5 years after you graduate high school,
Yeah.
it's a little creepy. So from that
Well,
perspective, this makes this the perfect time for you guys to get back together.
yeah, exactly. And I Eddie Murphy went back to Saturday Night Live,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I watched that. It was like a huge like reunion, and he said that, and I thought, that's exactly how I feel. He's like, coming back to Saturday Night Live for him was like going back to high school. You know what I mean? I don't know if I can say that or not. I don't, but that's what happened, and that's exactly how I felt.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm glad that it's working out. That sound is there again. Man,
do we need to fix something?
I don't know, because it's no, now I don't hear it. I don't know. I'm just gonna roll with it and hope that maybe it doesn't show up in the. I mean, I won't know till the final recording, but it's like this very like scratchy sound that's coming like a tenth of a second after I say something. But now it's gone, So I'm sorry, I've never heard that before, and I didn't know if
Oh
I
man,
don't know.
hope it's not on
Um,
my end.
that's what I was. I mean, I don't have anything unusually hooked in on this end, so I would imagine I don't. I'm gonna plow through it now. Regardless, it's fine. Sorry about that
Okay.
again. Um, mm, okay. I'm trying to think of like an organic way to get back into the conversation so we can cut all
Well, we
that
were
crap
talking
out.
about high school, and
Yeah.
I'll say this. Getting back together with those guys in the band and having the new guys that I didn't work with is a really big deal. We've never done this.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So having that experience with the entire cast
Yeah.
feels really good and
Yeah.
really exciting.
And that's why it's so cool to talk to you from your perspective as one of the original members of the band. You know, we talked to Aaron Jackson, and he was talking about how there's a couple of people that he's literally never been in the same room as before. So this is going to be the first time that some of you will be meeting each other, at least in person. So it seems like it's as cool of a deal for you guys as it is for all the fans who are going to be attending
Yeah,
and having fun with you.
yeah, totally. And I'm glad to do it. Glad to do it. We're getting prepped, and it's starting to look good. So
Yeah.
sound good, I should say. Starting to sound good. So
Nice. Well, look, I want to go back to the beginning with you a little bit because we know about your role, your formative role as part of the California Dreams band, but we don't necessarily know how you got there. But, you know, going all the way back into your school years, you were already focused on acting, on music.
yeah.
How did your passion for those two different arts, so to speak, like how did all that develop within you, and what was sort of your original direction through high school? Did you think it was going to be more about music, more about acting? Where were you headed?
Great question. Um, so I learned how to play guitar early on, like 14, 15. My dad, when he was, I think he was 19, had a record deal. So he played music, and he taught me music. And as I went into high school, I realized that girls really liked playing music. So I started learning all these Beatles songs, and I just did it all for fun. I did it all for fun. And then in my high school days, we had the spring musical, which was you know, the yearly spring musical. And I was like, I loved it because not only was I getting to like do music,
Mm.
which it kind of just consumed me from the early age and then continued to consume, it still does today. For whatever reason, it's just in my DNA. It's just my thing. But I love performing and I loved acting. And even though I feel like I was naturally better at music, I used to go sit through 3 movies in a row and just watch, De Niro and Gene Hackman and all these guys and just be like, wow, I want to do that. I really want to do that.
Hmm.
And but my wheelhouse was musical theater. And because that's all I knew. Well, at about 17, 16, 17, I went down to the Tennessee Performing Arts Center and I started taking acting classes.
Mhm.
And I knew then and there that I wanted to do that the rest of my life. I didn't know whether it was going to be music or acting, but I saw the light at the end of the tunnel with being able to sort of pursue performing. And I was going to go to a college, and long story short, I ended up auditioning for American Musical and Dramatic Academy in New York City and Manhattan, and got accepted. and I left high school and I went straight into that conservatory.
Wow.
And I moved from Nashville to New York City and went there. And my dad said, I've got your education. You know, I'm going to help you with your education. If you're going to do a conservatory, I'm giving you 2 years in New York. That's it. You're on your own after that. So pick your poison, you know? And and they were supportive. And so I got to New York. I started doing musical theater, and then I started doing acting. A lot of things happened, but at the end of the day, I wanted to separate the two.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that music and writing songs needed to be separate from acting. So I split the two up. I didn't stay in New York. I wanted to come to Hollywood. I left, went to Hollywood, started playing and writing songs on the side. And then a year later, long story short, I joined a band and it's not a long story short anymore, but I joined a band in Anchorage, Alaska, and then I worked at a place called Roxbury. Remember 90 at the Roxbury?
Yeah.
That was my first job. I was a waiter at the Roxbury. And then I quit my job. I wasn't getting any auditions. And I went to network for California Dreams, and I screen tested for Dazed and Confused. And when I walked into the California Dreams audition, the casting director is like, "You're going to get this." And I'm like, "Don't tell me. I've auditioned for a whole year and I haven't gotten anything. You know, I'm going to Alaska. I've joined a band. I'm going to Alaska." And she's like, "You're going to get it, Robin Lippin." And I was like, whatever. So I didn't care. I was gone. I packed my car. I packed my apartment, and I had bought my plane ticket.
Wow.
And I went to network and booked California Dreams. And I knew then and there that my performance and music and acting were destined to be together. So that I tried to make that a short answer, but that's the story, and that's the real thing that happened. So
No, that invites so many other questions. I mean, you know, just to get to that point, we're talking about you've decided to go to LA to make a go of it on a higher level in acting.
yeah,
Then you end up not finding immediate success there. So you agree to join this band in Alaska. And then right before you go, you get the opportunity you're looking for in LA. Does that, I mean, was that an easy fix as far as, first of all, for the band, because you've committed to join this band and obviously it's no longer the priority for you because you've booked this network show. But I mean, how was there any consideration then to, what do I do about this band that I just committed to, or was everybody cool with that?
well, no, here's what,
How did
yeah, that's another good question. He wanted me to come. He's like, "Dude," he says, "Why are you worrying about that? You know, these auditions, they go and then you don't get it. Just get on the plane and come." And I was like, "I'll come
right?
when they tell me that I don't have the job. Just I need another week because I have another audition. I got to call back." And then I did call back, and then it went to network. So I kept pushing the plane ticket on Alaskan Airlines. And I told my landlord, I'm like, "I need to stay another week. I need to stay another 2 weeks."
Yeah.
And then I told him, I was like, "I got the job. I'm not coming. I got a network show. There's no way I'm coming to starve in Anchorage, Alaska." And you know, he wanted me to come there and help him write songs and be in this band with he and his girl, who was on Twin Peaks. She was an actress on Twin Peaks. And I just said, "There's no way. I've just got a network show. I'm going to take the job." Yeah, I know I didn't have second thoughts about that.
It's interesting, and I think, you know, it's something you pointed out already, but you're trying to get away from that hybrid of music and acting. You're trying to
Mm-hmm.
compartmentalize and separate them. and then you end up falling into this opportunity that brings them back together again. Is that what they were specifically looking for? Somebody who could bring both of those sides of talent to that cast, to the California Dreams band?
Um, they told me that when I walked in, they'd been auditioning people for a really long time, and that hadn't had anyone that could act and do music.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, I remember Mark McGrath. You know who Mark McGrath is?
Sure, Sugar Ray.
Came up to me and he's like, I wanted that show so bad. I auditioned for that show. I said, dude, you did pretty well. Don't worry too much about it. And Scott Wolf auditioned for that show, and Jared Leto was auditioned for that show. A lot of people did, and I was kind of just not even thinking about it, but I think I just felt so comfortable with the acting because it was family based, and I'm a middle child, so I really loved that element, and it was very easy for me to do that acting. I wasn't like, it wasn't Gilbert Grape or anything, and then when I put the headphones on, and I'd never been in a proper studio like that with Steve Tyrell, and he said, play a song. Can you play a song? And I played an Elton John. I played Your Song on piano. Mm-hmm. And I remember that feeling of being under the headphones like it was yesterday. And I said, I want to be here the rest of my life. Like I knew that that's where I wanted to be. And the fact that I was able to perform and kind of accomplish a dream of wanting to act and do that, and having like moments of clarity of knowing like, this is what I really love. It's just a game changer. It's just a game changer. So I think splitting everything up, maybe I could have gone and done some musical theater, and I ended up doing that. And I just did a rock opera, ended back in LA. I think it's a good idea, but now I don't do that. I kind of look at art. It's an art piece. It's just a project. And if music's involved, it's great. If it doesn't have to be, but I prefer it. Yeah. So, back then, back then everyone wanted to do either music or TV. They wanted to do movies or TV. Mm-hmm. They were like, no, I'm a film actor. I'm not a TV actor.
Right.
And then suddenly that changed, and everyone just wanted to act. Everyone just wanted a job.
Right.
So, that was my path. Yeah. I hope I answered that for you.
Sure. No, absolutely. This is an amazing story. Now for those who've been longtime fans of the California Dreams band and the entire legacy and the body of work and everything, we've been talking to, as we said, other members of the band about their role on the team, so to speak. Like, what was sort of the character, the image that maybe was envisioned for them when they joined up, when they became a part of this thing. And like for instance, Jay, we know when he came in, it was like right off the bat, he was the cool guy, right? Like we just knew that was the role that he embodied. And then with Aaron, it was interesting because he was the absolute opposite. Like he was a guy who, we talked about, he's a guy who in real life like rode motorcycles around everywhere, but he had to come in and kind of be sort of the innocent, kind of nerdish kind of guy to an extent. Mm-hmm. What was envisioned for you and your role in the band? Because we know that you were a part in the very beginning. It was more of like a family component to the thing. So that was part of your identity. But what else about you, about Matt, about who you were in the band was known when you came in?
Well, truth being is that they wanted it family focused, but times were going 90210 and Aaron Spelling shows and all that stuff was going in the way of groups of kids together. So they didn't want family focused. I really wanted it to stay family focused because I thought that was cool, because it was unique. But, not my call. I'm an actor. So, when Jay came on, I had a hard time with that. Not with Jay because he's killer. Love Jay. But I wanted it pigeonholed me into the Richie Cunningham role and him the Fonz.
Right.
And I didn't want that to happen, because then I couldn't have a drug problem. I couldn't stretch out. I just had to. I was the straight guy, which is fine, but I had to really make peace with that.
Yeah.
And Peter Engel, the producer, and I had a lot of conversations about that. And he even told me later, he's like, yeah, he knew that kind of pigeonholed me, but everything worked out the way it did. But to answer your question, I would have loved to have had more meat instead of being the straight nice guy.
Yeah.
Because I think I am a nice guy. I think ultimately I am kind of like Matt in a lot of ways.
Clearly.
I think I am. And when you're acting, you don't want to just play yourself. You kind of want to have something that you can kind of stretch out and grow. And so, but that's, I think a lot of actors go through that.
Yeah.
You have to just sort of take your role, do the job, do your best, and make it as spectacular as you can.
Absolutely.
There's no.
In your own way, I feel like your role, the role of Matt, I think it is well remembered because of the fact that it was unique in that you were the center. You were the kind of the center of that universe during your time on the show, and that kind of you were. I mean, you did a great job at it, obviously, because you're still so well remembered today. Did you enjoy being on a part of this California Dreams band, as far as everything that came with it, as far as being that teen star, being in that sort of spotlight? People probably wanting to put you on, teen magazines, and, people screaming at appearances and things like that. Was that fun for you during those years?
I thought I'd love it more than I did. I thought I would love that.
It says, by the way, says the guy who started playing music partially because of recognizing the fact that the girls liked it. Being that guy at the party who pulls out the guitar, and everyone comes gathering around.
Yeah. And that's probably something that you've heard a zillion times too, of actors saying, it's not all it's cracked up to be. I mean, we've heard it a zillion times. And I think I thought I would like that, but I was never one on feeling good about taking advantage of a situation and be like, I'm gonna make this work for my benefit. I just don't think that way. I just kind of, I just don't think that way. So I liked it, but when I started having to do it when I didn't want to, go to the Teen Beat photo shoot and, smile or hold the teddy bear with the presents and stuff. It's so goofy, but It's just what people did, and I think maybe I outgrew it after the first year. Like the first year, it was just totally new, and then the second year, it was kind of a job.
Yeah.
And so I think the nostalgia wears off, like we've heard so many times, and then you just realize, hey, it's your gig. This is what you signed up for. Do it, you know. And so I think you like it when you want it, and you don't like it when you don't. I think that's the best way to answer that.
I think any situation, whether it's something you love, aspects of it that you don't love, it's tougher to swallow. It has to be tougher to swallow when you're not necessarily in control of how often or when that part of your life has to be a part of your life. Like regardless of how great it can be on occasion, it's got to be challenging to deal with losing that control in your own personal sort of work-life balance or just
Yeah.
your work in general.
Yeah.
Um, I think people are going to want to know more than anything else, uh, what happened as far as the band goes, because you disappeared from that scene. It felt pretty abruptly. There
Yeah.
wasn't, a long drawn out storyline or anything like that. It was just, he's part of the band, he's not part of the band. And clearly, you obviously are looking back on everything fondly today, but what kind of led you to the path of departure?
I mean, I've said this in interviews, and I've kind of told the story, but let's just start out with my part in it.
Okay.
My part in it is that I was acting bratty because I wanted something that they weren't wanting to give me, which was they had already chosen the path to have Jay there to be the cool guy. They needed me to play the straight guy.
Hmm.
And I was like, I need you to give me more. I wanted that, the stuff I was telling you.
Right.
I was young. I just was just emoting, and and I think in some ways, that's where we got into it. And I said, can't we do this? Can't we do that? And he's like that. Peter's like, that's not the way it's going. It's going this way. And I was like, well, what about the music? Are we going to do more of that? And MCA Records, who had half of the. So here's the deal. MCA Records, and this is probably the biggest caveat more than the character, but
Mhm.
MCA Records had a record deal with California Dreams and NBC. So it was MCA Records and NBC.
Mhm.
MCA was like, we're not paying for touring and supporting this record. This is a TV show. You do it.
Mhm.
And so MCA said, we're out. So then NBC is like, well, we're a TV show. We're not a record company. So we don't need to worry about the music so much.
Mhm.
So that left me stale too because of what I've already just told you. I
Yeah.
was so excited about the music and really like I wanted to do more stuff and make the band, the California Dreams band, so cool.
Yeah.
I was ready for it to be an indie band, not a slick pop band. I wanted it to be an indie California Dreams band,
Mhm.
and it just I was I would say I had my own ideas, but I'm not the producer. I'm just an actor. So we got into it and we couldn't come to an agreement. So, I left, and then, eventually I was like, well, I want the job. Eventually I went back and I was like, well, maybe I can get my job back. And they're like, we're not changing it again. I was like, all right, well, bummer. Cause now I kind of want to do the job again, so I don't think I've ever told anyone that. The cast knows,
Mhm.
because I was like, well, can I have my job back? And they're like, no. So, it was just kind of a bittersweet thing, and it just happened abruptly. I don't think they really were glad to have me go, and eventually I was not happy to have gone. So there again, you make your choices and you move on, and now it's fine. It's what happened. It's in stone. That's the history of it. That's what happened. I learned one huge lesson that I'll tell everyone, that the lesson is never bite the hand that feeds you.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But I mean, look, hearing this story, and I'm hearing this from you for the first time, but you can totally understand where you were in your life with the passion that you had, which is what got you this far in the first place,
Yeah.
and how important the musical side of things was to you. And then it's like, okay, well, all that stuff that you were most excited about in this gig has now shut down to an extent.
Yeah.
It became a different situation. So, I would hope you look back on it, and I know that I guess there was some regret since you kind of wanted to reverse that decision at
Well,
some point. But I mean, I feel like it's a decision that, being your true self, you would feel like you would make again if you had to do it all over again.
yeah, I mean, and that's, I had to make peace with that decision, because it's like when you're 21 years old, you're like, no one was telling me what to do. The agents were like, take the job, keep the job, because they were getting paid. But, ultimately I just wanted to be happy. And I'd watched a lot of Johnny Depp shows about him saying, well, I just wanted off 21 Jump Street. So I just thought, and I was running around, I was roommates with Kevin Conley and running around watching Leonardo DiCaprio and all these things happen. So I just thought, well, I'll just get a new job.
Right.
But really what I wanted to do was play music. And that's what I ultimately found out in leaving, is that music took the steering wheel. And I'll say the reason why for me was that I can write the songs, I can perform them how I want to perform them, and I can say what I want to say. I wasn't obligated to the theme of the writers and the producer of the show. Not that it was bad, but I just wanted a little more control.
Yeah, that seems totally understandable. And we talked earlier about your reluctance to continually discuss and be recognized for your work on California Dreams when you're just trying to move on and you were just trying to do different things in your career. Let's fast forward a little bit. 2010,
Yeah.
Jimmy Fallon, The Tonight
Yeah.
Show, and the phone calls go out. We want to have a reunion of the cast of the band
Yeah.
on The Tonight Show. Where were you mentally and emotionally as far as being interested at all in something like that?
Well, I was honored that they asked me to want to do it. Obviously, they're going to see. I mean, Jimmy Fallon loves the theme song, like it's his favorite song, which is an honor because I sang it, but it. I just did it as a fun one-off thing. I mean, I thought it was fun. It was still kind of the same thing. It's like a bittersweet thing still a little bit. The older I get, the less that becomes. So I think with the Jimmy Fallon thing, it was amazing to be able to go to New York, go on Jimmy Fallon, see my old castmates, which I haven't seen, see where everybody is, play with the Roots, which was, I just like, come on, let's just play some more songs. It's there again. It was music driven for me, and then of course I had Sly, Michael Cade, up there doing his thing, which is what he does so well. And then when he was just giving us his stomach, I was like, man, I should have just gone over there and just punched him right in the gut. Like that, that would have been, I was like, that would have been great TV. But I didn't. I just was like, and you know, it was good. It was fun. I was glad to have done that. It was an honor to do that. It was a national show. It was nighttime. It was great.
Yeah.
Fun.
So, and I mean, it's crazy to think because I remember that like it was yesterday, but we're talking about 13 years or so ago.
Mm.
Has there been any? I mean, have you remained in contact? Have you remained close with any or all of the band, or has there been other reunions or anything between then and what we're looking at in October when you guys are getting back together again?
No, we haven't. We have not had anything with regards to California Dreams besides the two shows that they played in LA. I, at the time, couldn't make that show. So I wasn't able to do those. And then they asked me again. Jenny Kwan actually kind of, her and Michael kind of helped to spearhead this event. And Jenny's been doing Comic Cons and things like that. So, excuse me, she asked, she's like, will you do this? And I was like, absolutely, I'll do it. Because like I said, enough time has passed. I don't have any bitterness about it. It's sweet now. It's like we were just kids. We were just young, and I love that. And now I'm relearning these songs, but I'm learning them on guitar, and I'm just so excited about doing these songs now as a little more seasoned musician, and doing them with these guys and then the band that they have going on with us. I'm excited to do that. So nothing's really happened since then, but everyone's really excited to do this, and I'm potentially we'll do more, but we don't know. We have to just see. California Dreams Band is like a throwback, but hey, if we have fun and it's good and the people that come to the show have a good time, then maybe we'll do some more. Europe wants us to come, England and all those guys, they're like, come over here. We love you over here. It was like 48 countries California Dreams was syndicated in.
Yeah.
It's like,
I've even gotten some emails here and there, just kind of to push the question along to you and whoever I'm interviewing, like, oh, are you coming here? Are you coming there?
Yeah.
So clearly the entire world still remembers and loves, and I'm sure there's going to be some people flying in from some really out there places to be in New York City, especially. And look, I'm a local. I'm in Jersey, so I've been
sweet.
I've been warning all of you that I'm speaking to, those who do not have experience with New York Comic Con, which is going on just a few blocks away. Get ready, because the massive humanity headed your way for this event, even just beyond the standard California Dreams Band nostalgia fans. It's going to be a powerful thing. It's going to be wild, and it's going to be a lot of fun, I'm sure, for everybody. So, I want to leave it with this, because we talked so much about what's going down, why this is such a special occasion for everyone to get together. Is there anything else we could say? Everyone in the same building at one time. The evolution musically of you guys and getting back on stage and performing. If you could put a pin on it and just give an overall blanket statement, why is this a must-see event? This one, for anyone who is, into the '90s nostalgia thing. They've been to the different conventions, and maybe they've seen Jenny, maybe they've seen some of you and seen other stars. But what is going to be unique about this event for them?
Well, it's music. It's music. And here, the thing about California Dreams that I've discovered, that I've completely accepted, is that it's such a fundamental part of people during their coming of age years, that there's so many vivid memories that are tied into those, to those times. And a lot of people relate to that coming of age time with, posting up Saturday morning, watching the show, and then you go out and play. I mean, I hear it time and time again. And it's like, when you have people that are like, how do I know you? Like, if you're I get that a lot, do I know, did we go to high school, or were we in, how do I know? And a lot of the times when I used to just say, well, did you ever watch California Dreams? And then I'm like, that's it. It's because it imprints, it imprints a good time, a good memory, because it's so nostalgic.
No.
And, I think that now, in this crazy time that we're having, which we won't get into it, but I think this kind of sentiment is valued more now than ever. And California Dreams, even though we can go dark and we can, get into our, comic book superheroes, which help, but it's like there's something about the quality of life that's really simple and gentle that California Dreams holds for people that we need more of.
Yeah.
And that's all I'll say. I think it's good for people. If people just let it go, let all the pretense, stop trying to be so cool. I was one of them. Just let it go and enjoy it for what it is, because that's a good enough reason, if anything, to go and check it out.
Yeah. And, it's a perfect opportunity to do that. Friday, October 13th, it's 90s Dreams Fan Fest. Every single member ever of the California Dreams Band will be in the building. Michael, Jay, Brentley, of course, Aaron, William, Jenny, Heidi, Kelly, Diana, and special guest Thomas Ian Nicholas. Of course, you know him from the big screen as well. And it's just going to be such a great day. You guys are doing a meet and greet. It's like an all day long party, essentially. Yeah. So, my recommendation, if you guys are in town for Comic-Con, make this a point of a part of that day for you. Make sure that you have this event on your schedule as well. And if you're not there for Comic-Con, don't worry about Comic-Con. Just go to this thing and you can hang out all day and you can get that much more fun out of it. And of course, Brentley's going to be there. So, man, thank you so much for talking to us. It's going to be exciting, and it's been great to talk to you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I like to talk, so I appreciate the time, and I hope I answered your questions well. And I'm really looking forward to seeing everybody that shows up. We'll do our best and put on a good show for them.
Excellent. Come in the day, stay for the night, and you guys will not regret it at all. Of course, that's 90s Dreams Fan Fest, New York City, Friday, October 13th. Once again, thank you for joining us here on 90s to Now. Thank all of you. Please subscribe, share, do all the things that you do to help us grow. And once again, Brentley, thanks, man. It's been great.